went wrong for your bullpen tonight?
There's a couple pitches where we're ahead in the count where guys didn't execute, but some guys that swung the bat well for them, and I don't think we ever had a big inning where there was more than 2 runs, but there certainly was a lot of bleeding that never got stopped, and if anything, just need to make better decisions on my end on who's where, who's coming out, who goes in at a certain time, and maybe if that is managed a little bit better, we have more success against an experienced lineup that's got pretty good numbers power wise coming in, and now they added to it. But no one glaring issue. I think there's been times where the offense feels like things are generous on the other side, and yet you don't see any complaints from the other side because maybe we haven't taken advantage of that. If that's the fairest and best way to say that. So maybe they could have observed what's going on in the game a little bit.
Somewhat quiet stretch from the offense these last 2 games. Is there any common theme you've seen there?
I think repeated mistakes, whether it be a guy going 3 at-bats in a row, kind of making the same mistake, whether it's out front against a certain pitcher or chasing up against a certain pitcher. And then with runners in scoring position, maybe not just having a specific plan. I'm saying it from my standpoint, and they have offensive meetings out there in the outfield, but we're kind of at this point of the season where you can't just get up there and wail away and hope good things happen. You got to have a specific plan, whether it's moving a runner over or just something you're trying to get done. And a lot of times when you're just trying to get the small thing done, you kind of get the big package or the pleasant surprise, so to speak. But again, kind of in that area too. No one specific thing.
Coming back as an extra base hit, he's been seeing a little bit more time here lately. What's been different about him to get those opportunities?
Yeah, no, I think he's just kept forging ahead. Always working, always ready, and then when he's got out there, he's had good presence in the box, and certainly is a good base runner, and he's made some good plays as he did defensively when we were on the road. So all that's contributed to the opportunities, and then he's made the most of them. And maybe a different deal there if we leave him in, go with a little matchup. But yeah, if you looked at the numbers, the way they worked out tonight compared to the matchups, it kind of showed you can throw them out the window. Sometimes those are a little overrated when you're dealing with basically kids.
How would you assess Snead's outing?
Really good. I mean, he put in some extra work with Frank. Yeah, I just mentioned to John, he's been out there often the last 2 weeks, but he hasn't been taxed at all. None of those outings have been lengthy, and early in the year, his pitch count was built up to where essentially he could go close to 100 pitches for you. So I think it's good for him to keep adding experience, adding reps, working on things on the days in between because he hasn't been taxed. So I think he's in a good position to, to make a run here as we go on, down the home stretch of the season. He's kind of been involved as much as you possibly can. But again, I don't think he's been taxed where, his best bullets maybe aren't ahead of him.
Do you think he was specifically working with Frank?
I watched the video. I was on the road, so all I did was watch the huddle video, and I spoke with those guys a little bit, but I honestly don't know, which maybe I should educate myself.
Do you tell the team anything specific after a night like tonight to make sure it doesn't carry into the weekend?
Well, you don't. I mean, it's going to carry into the weekend, so it's kind of because it's too quick. I mean, if you're responsible, you need to pack tonight because you got nutrition and school to some extent for guys and lifting. So you got all this stuff going on. So and while you're packing, or even just while you're taking your jersey off, there should be some level of frustration. So how do you want to use it? I think it's a little bit different if you play Tuesday to Friday as far as carryover goes, or if we were able to practice on our own field tomorrow and kind of have a conversation that way. But it's go time tomorrow afternoon. Jump on that plane, and you think you're playing a hungry team whose record doesn't state the talent they have. What do you see this weekend?
Does the leadership in that dugout give you some extra confidence that they will kind of flip it pretty quickly and then move on to Florida?
Yeah, they're going to need to. I mean, that's a fun thing about baseball is in our league too. You consistently have challenges. They're new ones, and they pop up every day. So I've got complete confidence in those guys handling all kinds of stuff, but that doesn't guarantee anything. It was our first Thursday to Saturday series, and our guys handled it with a bang. We start off the series Thursday night with our best game of the weekend. But that also means you got your first Sunday to do whatever you want to do, go to a hockey game or do whatever. And then does that kind of throw you out of your Monday routine? And does that bleed into Tuesday where you don't get some things done and maybe you don't show up to the park with similar focus that you would when you're in kind of that routine? So the leadership is there. There's no question. But the execution that's an everyday challenge.
What's gone wrong for Binky these last couple of outings?
Just kind of cutting the ball and internally I don't have any answers for you. I know they've had discussions and you don't see a guy that's rattled or nervous or moving faster or changing routines or things like that, but certainly the crispness of the pitches are not the same, and there's often been balls cut out of the zone. So maybe too much speaking by me. Because we talk about adding weapons as the season goes on and guys improving, and there needs to be a reset button there and get back to what he was doing when he was a very valuable asset out of the bullpen.
And a night like this, kind of the difference in this being something that kind of maybe wakes somebody up, or the thing that starts somebody sliding. What's the difference there? Is it just start between the ears? Is it that simple?
It's pay attention. It's kind of like what I talked about. I don't have any answers on the offensive end that are real specific, but if a guy is consistently getting our guys out the same way, don't get out that way. To say go get a hit, these three guys didn't get a hit, go get a hit. That's so unreasonable. It's unbelievable. But to say make sure you have an approach that is an adjustment to what's going on that's negative, I think is very realistic. So as far as tonight's concerned, it should be a painful experience. The food shouldn't taste as good, afterwards, and it's not as enjoyable to talk to your family or friends out here, and not as fun, like I said, to pack and get all geeked up about the trip ahead. But there's really just paying attention to what's going on. There's certain things that led up to the game, and I've got my theories, but the players could put it down on paper better than I can, because again, they're around each other from Saturday afternoon till the final out of this game, and what needs to be adjusted individually and what needs to be adjusted as a team. And again, the pointing it out should be relatively easy, but the execution is kind of up to individuals and how important is it to you.
What have you seen from Florida as you've been scouting other teams this season?
Yeah, I mean, Cags is so physical and big and does it on both sides of the ball for him. So I don't know enough to say this with complete confidence, but you kind of guesstimate that a lot revolves around him. And familiar with a few of the other guys too that have been in the lineup. But I think the biggest thing is, because I've seen some of the arms, and I'm not in a spot where I could speak intelligently enough about this guy's pitch or that guy's pitch, but there's an awful lot of talent sitting there, in comparison to the record. And so I don't think people want to know who our biggest rival is, or what's going to be the biggest series of the year. You're kind of wasting your time looking at that. It's whatever's right in front of you, and this thing's right in front of us, and now it follows a less than quality effort tonight. So it's like I said, it's a challenge that's right in front of us.
Two more guys. How different is KT defensively now compared to his freshman year redshirting and even last season?
Yeah, I mean, he's entirely different, starting with always having a good arm, but controlling it now, and really being able to do different things with it. His body has completely changed physically, which has allowed him to cover more range in the outfield and also stay healthier. Last year he was healthy at the end of the year, and we just kind of went with what we had, but that kind of interrupted his progress during the year. And then just reads on balls and being comfortable at playing all the positions. The night I was over there when he was playing against Tidwell, I think he was playing first base. So in high school, you just don't get that much experience or coaching or repetitions out there, and he's made the most of them, and he's become a real positive asset in the outfield for us.
How much of a benefit is it that the program is familiar with going down there and playing in that environment?
Yeah, I think it's helpful that the stadium, and you kind of know what it's going to look like, because now you can start to visualize, again, what adjustments you want to make from the lead up to this and the duration of it. And you got a picture clear perception of, what they'll look like and how they'll play their style. That's the one thing about consistency of coaching staffs is great. I mean, it's a big bonus for us, but and then you can kind of start to stereotype. Okay, this coaching staff's been here for a while. This is how they do things. These are the problems they're going to present, and so I think it just helps our guys have a vision, and that probably starts with the travel and the practice in the beginning of game one. But once the series starts, all heck breaks loose, and you're going to have to make adjustments on the fly, and you're going to have to handle situations that are uncomfortable.